everyone, I'm Jessica, and today's another fun solo chat about more solo gaming. So today I am talking about the awesome Dune Imperium. This is the collector's box, obviously the top because I got smart and I'm not lifting heavy boxes at the moment to show these off. Blame my husband for that. He wanted all the fancy stuff for this. Although, honestly, not the wrong decision. But most importantly is that I play with the Rise of Ix expansion. And why is that? It adds just enough to change things up. So, if you're not familiar with Dune Imperium, you got yourself a board. You're going to be kind of building a deck as you go, and cards in the deck kind of determine which action spaces you can take on the board. I know nothing about the actual Dune intellectual property, any of that stuff. I do not, so that's also an interesting thing, though, I will say about some games that are built off of popular, books, movies, TV series, something that is in kind of popular culture and you don't know anything about that. Sometimes those can be hit or miss. Sometimes you kind of need some knowledge in order to make it happen. In this case, I feel like the game really stands on its own. You don't need to have that knowledge, although I'm sure that adds to the fun of it. So again, I was getting back to why is Rise of Ix great? So when I first started playing the game, and this is a mess over here, but part of what the board looks like is this. It's a huge board, but just to show you kind of what that looks like, some of the spaces, especially up in the council up here, which again, I'm not gonna take this all apart and I will probably fall out of my chair just trying to get the board together. But some of those spaces when you play the base game aren't that useful. So I found I was ignoring some spaces. I wanted to go out there and build up reputation with the different factions. That was the main thing I was doing. And then going out and picking up spice or going out into the desert spaces to make sure that I had troops that I could add into the battles that happen at the end of every round. That was important. Some of those council spaces, though, were kind of like, all right, they're there. I guess I could take those. But a lot of times the solo opponents, because in this one, you play against two different ones, they were just using those spaces and blocking them. But I was like, great, I didn't need that anyway. So enjoy standing there and doing nothing. So the Rise of Ix adds in, there are some technologies that you can get. There are also giant, they're not called freighters. I should find this out. What are they called? Dreadnoughts, thank you very much, that you can also go for, and kind of a shipping track that replaces some of those council spaces. And I found this completely changed the game where before in the base game, I kind of figured out a rhythm and I was winning even with some of the highest difficulty settings, with letting those solo opponents do more and take more resources and do this and that and that. I was still finding ways to win, which was fun because winning games is great. But especially for solo, I really like having the majority of my games have a challenge. Sidebar, I do like having some in my collection that I'm like, yes, if I'm having a rough day and I just want to kind of play something where I know I can win, great. But for the most part, I want to have a game where I have, winning is not guaranteed and I have to work towards it. So with the Rise of Ix again, that adds in just enough where I had additional options. And the solo opponents also change what they do a little bit, and they are a lot more difficult. So I started to lose, which may sound odd, but I was excited about it. Because again, that meant that I was not just, I had to really hone in on what I was doing and figure out, all right, if I'm going to play this card, I get this bonus, great. But then I need to take that action and I don't have any cards in my hand. Can I get them from the market, or can I figure out a way to do that from another action space? So I think overall, Dune Imperium, and I mean this in a very positive way, it doesn't necessarily do anything innovative or, amazingly different. It doesn't change up the formula that you might find in a lot of other board games, but But this is important. Being able to find similarities and feel familiar with some of the mechanics and mixing those up is really awesome. There are finding that formula where it's stuff that is, pretty common to find out there, where it's worker placement, action selection, cards, and building a deck of your own. Like, those are common, popular mechanics that we'll find out there in a lot of games. But they come together, and I think that's where the game really shines. They come together so well that it's stuff that I picked up on. I've been playing games for a while, but I didn't see that it was super difficult to get into. Obviously, this is not necessarily the right game to pick for beginners to the board game hobby, but it's also not super complex. There's a lot of strategies and decisions you can make, but the overall rule set I liked it. And that was why I think Rise of Ix really helped improve the game, because it is that, and I don't want to say it's not basic, but those familiar mechanics that a lot of us will recognize were in the base game. It flowed well. It worked really, really well. But then there came a point where I was like, I got it. I know how to do this. And I have multiple ways of pulling together victory points at the right time. So Rise of Ix, again, I don't know what that note was. That's not even the right music. You should hear sound effects when I play games. I should just have a video on that. Jessica plays solo games and doesn't remember that the camera's rolling. Anyway, I have a lot of fun with this one. I ended up playing it over and over the course of a couple of weeks. And, again, starting with the base game just to get an idea of what was going on with that. And that's something that I do with a lot of games. Even if it's brand new to me and I pick up the expansions and I know that expansion is going to improve the experience, I'll typically play the base game a couple times at least just to understand where it started and what that expansion does for it. Because now I can say I've played the base game plus Rise of Ix, and you definitely want to check out Rise of Ix. And I know that there is another expansion coming for this, so I'm excited, but also hoping that everything fits in this collector's box. Or maybe we need collector's box version 2.0. I don't know. Because this is just the box top, but that should give you an idea of, this is a pretty solid box, definitely. But yeah, that is all the fun with Dune Imperium plus the Rise of Ix. Thanks so much for watching, and hopefully you get out there and play some games, whether it's solo or with somebody else. Just have fun with gaming. Thanks. Bye.